Let's talk about family conflict resolution. Such an important topic. Nobody feels good if there's conflict brewing in the family. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about family conflict resolution. In this video, we're going to talk about how to move from chaos to cooperation. We're going to talk about key principles that you can focus on in order to come to conflict resolution as a family. And stay tuned to the end because I've got a free gift for you that will help you right in the moment of family conflict to be able to resolve things immediately. Nobody likes family conflict. It wears us out. It makes our days longer and harder. It hurts our relationships, not just with the person we're having conflict with, but with everybody else too, because we end up in a selfish state. I know that's a painful thing to say, but it's actually true. When you see yourself as the victim in any relationship or circumstance, you start to think and overthink about what they've done to you, how it feels, how it's affecting you, and you start thinking self-thoughts all the time. You start justifying behavior, and suddenly that problem is so big in your head, it seems like it won't ever go away. That's heavy. It feels hard. And that is the nature of family conflict. The conflicts could be about a variety of things. I have an entire video on this channel all about family conflict scenarios and how to solve those particular scenarios. There could be anything from just misunderstanding each other to miscommunications to judgments, crossing over boundary lines, violating trust, all kinds of things that could happen in a family that could create ongoing conflict that ends up getting everybody feeling isolated and, yes, even selfish. So what do we do about that? Let's talk about some of the key principles that we can use, some of the self-government principles that we can use in order to help our families resolve those conflicts that are getting in the way of our happiness. Self-government is one of the principles of freedom. When a person is self-governed, they take complete responsibility for themselves, their behaviors, their thoughts. They analyze the consequences that they are earning because of those choices that they make to think and act and speak in a certain way. They choose to take ownership over themselves. When a person is having family conflict, oftentimes they're looking for the person to blame. That is the opposite of taking ownership of your own behaviors. It is true that somebody could have started it. Somebody could really truly be to blame. They could be that person that causes the problems all the time. Usually, somewhere in there, you've done something that you probably need to stop doing too. I believe in good old-fashioned repentance. When something's going wrong, instead of looking at everybody else around you and saying, what did they do to me? You should look at yourself and say, how can I handle this differently? What did I do that maybe wasn't the best way to handle this? Or how could I improve in this situation? That's what's required for actually conquering family conflict for good. There's a word to describe that. That word is humility. And humility is one of the principles of repentance, forgiveness, trust, and relationship. When people are humble, they are honest, they oftentimes reach out in caring ways. They're willing to talk about their fault in a certain circumstance, which means the circumstance repairs itself much easier. When people won't talk about their fault in a situation or a scenario that has occurred, usually it's because there's some pride there. They don't want to admit that they maybe did something wrong. It can take a long time for people to overcome a habit of pride, but sometimes moment by moment, scenario by scenario, they can learn little bit by little bit that they actually have more power in the circumstance to solve the problem so that they don't have to think of themselves as a victim and maintain that prideful mindset. So instead of talking about pride and selfishness and humility, which really are the principles that we need to focus on when we are trying to resolve family conflict, it's a good idea to talk about power. Who has the power over you? Well, the self-government answer is you do. You have the power over you. You get to choose. You get to decide. Your thoughts are uniquely your own. Nobody puts them in your head for you. So you have power. How are you going to use your power over yourself to solve this problem? When you exercise power over yourself, hopefully you'll start analyzing and seeing the places where you could do better in your relationships and communications. One of the key skills of self-government, in fact, it's the gateway skill of self-government that helps resolve conflict or helps a person not have a conflict at all in the first place, is the skill of disagreeing appropriately. It's one of the 4 basic skills of self-government, and it's the skill that almost everybody loves. Unless you're a little oppositional defiant or you just like a good fight, then maybe you won't like it, but you still need it because otherwise you're going to ruin all your relationships. In order to disagree appropriately, you look at the person or the situation, you keep a calm face, voice, and body, you say that you understand the other person's point of view, you share your point of view, you listen to what the other person has to say, then you say okay and drop the subject. It's a seek to understand, then be understood principle. Many people get into conflicts because they don't take the time to pause, to understand, to listen to the other person, to try to put themselves in their shoes and see where they might be coming from. Maybe you say to yourself, it's not worth it. Where they're coming from is a really bad place and I'm a completely different person. That might be true, but we can still appreciate that that other person actually has something that they are processing that seems true to them. They want to be understood just as much as you want to be understood by them and the other people around you also. When I did therapeutic treatment care for troubled teens and they had problems and anxieties and processing differences, as well as when I raised my own 4 children, there were often times where there was anxiety, confusion, frustration, just because, well, we're humans. And when that child, whether they were one of my biological children or one of my foster children, would take time to pause, have a breath, and then disagree appropriately with someone that they felt that was being confusing to them or was maybe doing something that they didn't like, usually 9 times out of 10, the problem was repaired almost immediately just by taking the time to stop, think about my skill of disagreeing appropriately, use it, and seek to understand the other person. Now, occasionally there might be a circumstance where even if they disagreed appropriately, they couldn't come to a scenario where both people could feel like the problem was handled. In that case, they would come to me and I would help them through the scenario. Well, basically, this is how it happens no matter your age. Either you handle it yourself because of the skills that you have, or you have to go find somebody else to help mediate and walk you through the scenario so that you can see the problem that you weren't able to see before. That's the whole point of therapists and counselors, and they're not supposed to be there for every single day's problems. They're just there for the once in a while, just in case type scenarios. So what skills do you have? What skills are you lacking? These are questions to ask yourself, because most people do need new skills in order to solve their family conflicts. One of the biggest skills that people are lacking is the skill for their own self-regulation and calmness. Do you have a calm plan? Do you have something that you think when you feel your body going out of control? Is there something that you do to remind yourself to be calm and take deep breaths? Is there a script or a skill that you could use to help you in those circumstances? If not, I have one for you. Remember how I said I had a free gift for you at the end of this video? Well, here we are at the end, and my free gift is I have a PDF called Family Conflict Resolution Strategies. It's a great start for handling your conflict resolution. It's going to help you with some of your skills, and it will help you right in the minute know which steps to do next when a family member is starting to start a conflict in your family. Click on teachselfgov.com/strategy. So again, the URL is teachselfgov.com/strategy. I'll see you there.